For those who are impatient, you're going to need some patience tomorrow, particularly with these folks. The race for the U.S. Senate, which looks like a complete toss-up heading into the final hours of this race. Well, nobody should be making any predictions here. This is one that the prognosticators got right in the sense that they said 18 months ago this is going to be a very close race, and that's exactly what it's going to be tomorrow. In the last hour, we discussed why each campaign here has a reason to be optimistic. Now, let's take a look at some of the warning signs for each of these candidates. First, Senator Hassan. Set aside all of the issues that are out there. It's just one of the truisms of American politics that when people are feeling economic pain, they tend to respond at the ballot box by punishing the party in power in Washington, particularly if that party holds the White House and the Congress. Add to that, it's a midterm as well, which also tends to be rough for the party in power. So before you consider anything else, Senator Hassan is facing a significant political headwind tomorrow that may prove too stiff to overcome for a candidate who won her first race in 2016 by just 1,017 votes. For Don Bolduc, there are two questions Tuesday that will be answered for us by the voters. One is whether enough swing voters and undeclared voters feel comfortable with the idea of him as a U.S. Senator. Bolduc has done a terrific job winning over the new Trump Republican base of the party, and the polls show he succeeded in bringing home a lot more of those Republicans who might have been on the fence over the last 2 months after the primary. But if he hits a ceiling with swing voters who are still wary of Trump-style Republican politics, that could be a problem in a very close race. And perhaps most pressing is the question of what kind of get-out-the-vote operation Bolduc will be able to put together tomorrow. We know Senator Hassan has the resources and the people necessary to drive voters to the polls, literally, tomorrow. Bolduc has been at a huge fundraising disadvantage in this race, and if he isn't able to compete with that ground game, that could be the difference between winning and losing. But bottom line, even with these deficits, both candidates are in a position to win tomorrow. One important note. I've spoken to a lot of operatives on both sides of the aisle, Democratic and Republican. They're united in one thing. No one has any idea what's going to happen tomorrow. They describe this political environment as kind of weird. Both sides are motivated. Both feel like they have reason to be optimistic tomorrow. We'll see who comes out on top tomorrow, or maybe in some cases, early Wednesday morning. People might need to be patient for those results if things are close.